Welcome to the CDC Weight Loss and Diabetes Prevention Program. The lies you've been told about weight loss and 4 simple steps to losing belly fat and changing your future. For those of you that don't know me, I'm Bob Mihalov, founder of Trinity Health Coaching, where we help people who struggle to lose belly fat to achieve breakthroughs and permanently reach their weight loss goals. Our promise to you is that you'll learn 4 secrets for losing dangerous belly fat, even if nothing else has worked for you before, that you'll understand what truly causes weight gain and belly fat better than most medical professionals do. And finally, there is nothing for sale at the end of this webinar. I want to ask you if you can relate to this. Have you tried diet after diet, each one promising results that they couldn't deliver? Or maybe one worked for a while, but it was impossible to stay on? Have you been conditioned to believe that the only way to lose weight is to eat less and exercise more? The truth is that weight loss is not obtained by working out for hours and eating nothing but boiled chicken with salad. Are you tired of eating different food from the rest of your family because they want to eat food that actually tastes good? Year after year, have you set goals to lose those extra inches but can't seem to ever make it permanent? The good news is it's not your fault. The real problem is that we've been taught the wrong way to eat based on false science for the last 40 years. Counting calories is not the answer. Understanding what's really behind weight gain will help you to break free from the frustration you've been fighting all these years. Now, I'll start by telling you that this is not for everybody. It is for people who have struggled to lose weight or belly fat for years and finally want to lose it for life, who want to eat great tasting food following a dietary protocol that they can stay on for life, and who don't just want more information, but are ready to get results, are coachable, and are willing to take action. So before we go any further, I'd like to introduce who we are. Here I am with my wife, Vicki, who is our senior health coach and a CDC certified lifestyle coach. We've gotten into this industry for very different reasons. In my case, I lost my first wife to cancer years ago at the young age of 43. So that instilled in me a desire to help families reduce their risk of having to experience that kind of suffering by teaching them how much control they have over their health. In Vicki's case, she's coming at it from a very different perspective. She struggled with being overweight to the point where she became pre-diabetic, and she was totally frustrated with her inability to keep her weight under control or to keep her blood sugar under control. As we've implemented these lifestyle changes that we're going to share with you today, it's allowed us to help many others over the years. We've got now more than a decade of experience helping women and men, individuals, families, and even entire companies to lose weight and be healthy through the programs that we've offered. We've got significant experience helping people learn how to change their eating habits through providing healthy cooking classes and providing tips to our clients on ingredient substitutions that will allow you to make your favorite dishes healthier. We've even been featured on multiple local TV shows promoting wellness to our community. So let's now start by talking about secret number 1. Eating fat does not make you fat. We go back and look at the history of obesity in our country. Back in the 60s and into the 70s, the US adult obesity rate was running at about 12% of the population. By the late 70s, it had crept up to about 15%, and the government felt like they needed to get involved. So they did, and they told us 2 things. First, they told us that we needed to exercise more. And secondly, they rolled out the food pyramid, which focused on reducing calories by eating less fat and eating more grains. As a result of that, what do you think happened next? Well, look at what happened to obesity after the government got involved. There's a problem with what they told us to do. And that problem is that fat's not what makes us fat. In fact, if you look even deeper at the numbers over the last 30 to 40 years, you can see that the orange line here represents how obesity has risen from 15% up to over 35%, and it's even a little bit higher now as we get into the end of this decade. However, the blue line shows that our daily fat intake hasn't changed over that time. So that just reinforces the fact that dietary fat as a percentage of calories is not the cause of the obesity epidemic. But we need to take a little even deeper look at this. Once again, the orange line represents the obesity rate, but the blue line represents added fats that have increased over the last 30 to 40 years. And those added fats are the polyunsaturated fatty acids that come from seed oils like corn oil, safflower oil, vegetable oil, the things that they've told us to use for cooking. Unfortunately, those high man-made fats are very closely tied to obesity. So secret number one is that we need to eat plenty of whole food fats and eliminate the man-made fats from our diet. Secret number two, it's not about counting calories. So they've told us over the last several decades that the reason that we gain weight is because we eat more calories than we burn. We're told that we need to balance our calorie intake through the foods that we eat to our calorie expenditure, which comes from exercise. And if we balance those two, we'll balance our weight. But what does that balancing really look like at a deeper level? How do we balance our calories? Well, here's what we know from science. 1 pound is 3,500 calories. 2 pounds is 7,000 calories. 1 bite of chicken equates to about 19 calories. So let's look at what happens over the course of 365 days in 1 year. What happens to our balance if every day we eat 1 extra bite of chicken more than we burn? 7,000 calories. That throws our balance out over the course of a year just by eating 1 extra bite of chicken a day. So the question is, in order not to gain 20 pounds every decade of life, are we able to balance our food intake down to 1 bite a day? That's a pretty unrealistic expectation for everybody. It's basically impossible. Nobody can count calories that accurately. Clearly, something else must be going on. Now, we're not saying that calories don't matter and you can eat an unlimited amount every day, but calories are not the driving factor when it comes to weight gain or weight loss. The truth is, all calories are not equal. Different foods do different things in our body. Let's consider 100 calories of broccoli versus 100 calories of chocolate cake. Common sense tells you that these do very different things in our body. Yet the experts that promote the calories in versus calorie out approach would have you believe that they have the same impact on your weight. All I can tell you is, if that's truly the case, give me the cake every time. But we know that that doesn't make sense. There's more to it than calories in, calories out. So what is really going on? Your body is brilliantly designed to withstand feast days and times of famine. We have different hormones that regulate different things in our body, such as how food is processed, how much we burn, and how hungry we get. We can't cover all of these in this webinar, but let's talk briefly about number one, which is how food is processed. So let's start by looking at insulin. Insulin is our storage hormone. Food causes our body to make insulin. Insulin's job is to store glucose and amino acids from the foods that we eat in the cells of our body. Carbs cause the most insulin, as sugar in the blood is the most harmful situation. Protein causes some insulin, so that the amino acids can be shuttled into the muscle cells. Fat causes virtually no insulin response. Let's look at a quick animation in more detail to show how this all works. So this represents a cell, and in this particular example, we're talking about how glucose is transported into the cells to be used for energy. Insulin's job is to open up the glucose channel to allow that glucose to be transported into the cells for energy use. This is an analogy to help reinforce the idea that insulin is necessary to get glucose out of the bloodstream and into the cells where it can be used. In the Japanese subway system, they employ pushers to force extra passengers into the subway trains. So just as the pushers are forcing people into the trains, insulin acts to force the sugar out of the bloodstream and into the muscle or the fat cells. Now, 60 years ago, only 1% of Americans had type 2 diabetes. Obviously, we have the same genes we do today as we did 60 years ago. It's clearly not a genetic issue. So in 60 years, diabetes has gone from 1% to 10% of the adult population. And in fact, it's continuing to climb. And by the year 2025, the CDC, the Centers for Disease Control, predicts that 20% of US adults will have diabetes. So if it's not genetic, the good news is it's 95% preventable. but it's only preventable when we understand the cause. So let's ask a couple of questions. Does obesity cause diabetes, and diabetes is defined as high blood sugar, or does high blood sugar cause obesity? In other words, which one should we be focusing on? Losing weight or lowering our blood sugar? So when we think about it, when we're children, we start eating the standard American diet based on what we've been taught to eat for years. We eat that standard American diet for decades, and during this time frame, during this initial couple of decades, our insulin receptors are functioning properly. A little bit of insulin is able to shuttle the sugar out of our bloodstream into the cells, or adequately shuttle the amino acids out of our bloodstream into the muscle cells. However, when we continue eating that same standard American diet, we unknowingly become insulin resistant in early adulthood. Insulin resistance basically means that the receptors on the cells are damaged and don't respond properly to the insulin that's being made by our body, so our body has to make even more insulin to do the same job. Think of it in terms of somebody who's struggling with being an alcoholic. When they took their first drink, they got a very significant response. But the longer that they drink, they have to do more and more to get the same high. It's the same thing here. The more insulin resistant we become because of our lifestyle, the more insulin our body has to make to do the job of getting the sugars and the amino acids out of the bloodstream. When this continues on for a longer period of time, we become an undiagnosed prediabetic. Now, I say undiagnosed because 90% of prediabetics don't know that they're prediabetic. Why do we care whether we're an undiagnosed prediabetic? Well, prediabetes has a pretty significant impact on our bodies. When we're prediabetic, there's damage already occurring in our bodies because of elevated blood sugar. And this damage can occur to our heart, to our liver, to our eyes, to our kidneys, and even to our brain. In fact, the Alzheimer's Association has even referred now to Alzheimer's as type 3 diabetes. Now, if we don't deal with things when we're pre-diabetic, it can actually progress onto being diabetes. And that's really when the problems start becoming more significant with our health. But unfortunately, all of this cycle continues, and we pass this lifestyle and the standard American diet onto the next generation, and it just continues to propagate the problem. So what are the complications associated with diabetes? Everything from amputations of toes, fingers, feet, hands, to heart disease, to blindness, stroke, and kidney failure. All of these are very significant, to the point where every day 120 diabetics go into kidney failure, 55 go blind, and 230 have a limb amputated. These are national numbers every single day. Beyond that, it makes it extremely difficult to lose weight due to elevated insulin and medications that we take for diabetes. So, if we think about what we just shared, which is really going on? Does obesity cause diabetes, or does high blood sugar cause obesity? The truth is that high blood sugar is what causes obesity. So to lose weight, you must fully understand this concept. To help you understand it even further, let's go back to 1920 to learn more. The picture on the left is of a young girl about 5 years old who was born as a type 1 diabetic. Now, type 1 diabetics, their bodies are unable to make insulin. So this was before man-made insulin was invented, the picture on the left. So without insulin, you can see that she is literally skin and bones. She's got no muscle, she's got no body fat. She was being fed countless calories every day by her parents, trying to get her to put on weight, but no matter how much she ate, she was not able to store fat or store muscle. However, fortunately for her, they invented insulin, and so about 5 months after she started injecting man-made insulin, you can see the picture on the right where now she looks like a normal, healthy young girl. She's got some muscle, she's got body fat. And so the difference of having insulin versus not having insulin reinforces the fact that insulin is the master storage hormone. So without it, we can't survive. That's why type 1 diabetics need to take insulin injections. But there's a dark side to insulin. So let's take a look at what happens if there's too much insulin in our system. When we're young and when we're healthy and we have normal insulin levels, our waist is going to be significantly less than half our height. However, as a result of the standard American diet and the elevated insulin that results, becoming insulin resistant in many cases, now by the time we're a teenager, our waist could now be a little bit more than half of our height. And as things continue and insulin gets to dangerous levels, by early to mid-20s, the waist can be now much more than half of our height. We recommend that everyone perform a simple string test to determine if their waist is less than half their height. The reason is that this test has been shown in medical research to detect a patient's risk for fatty liver disease, stroke, Alzheimer's, insulin resistance, prediabetes, diabetes, and 13 of the fastest growing cancers. And it's simple to do, as the video that you'll see shortly will show you, but it's important that everybody does it, regardless of your BMI and your weight, because the studies have shown is that 25% of the people that are at a healthy BMI and weight still fail the string test.
I am a bit surprised by that, yeah, I thought I'd be about right.
So if you take the test and fail, don't despair. Losing just 5% of your body weight can cut your visceral fat drastically.
Okay, well...
And all you need to keep tabs on your progress is a simple piece of string.
You can get two of you in there.
So earlier we highlighted the drastic increase in obesity that's occurred over the last 40 or so years. So you're probably wondering, why hasn't my doctor told me about the things that you've been sharing in this webinar? Well, here's the reality that most people face when they go to their regular family practitioners. You go in complaining that you're not able to lose weight. The doctor's response is that your blood sugar and your blood tests all look fine. And they give you the instruction to eat less and exercise more. A couple years later, you go back in complaining that you still can't lose any weight. At this point, the doctor says, well, your sugar's up a little bit, but it's still normal. You must be eating too much. A couple of years more go by, and you go in complaining that you're gaining weight. At this point, your blood sugar's to the point where you're now diabetic. So now the doctor can give you medication to help you. We've seen this time after time, that people are undiagnosed with increasing blood sugar, and it's only when it's so high that they're considered diabetic that the doctor intervenes, because there is no medical intervention for prediabetes or insulin resistance. So it's important that you know your numbers so that you can know for yourself. Most people don't get their numbers. We really encourage you that you get yours. Write these numbers down so that you know what the different ranges are for healthy, for being insulin resistant, for being pre-diabetic, or for becoming diabetic. Because the further you are along this process, the harder it is to reverse your situation. Now, things are different if you happen to work with a doctor that focuses on functional medicine, which functional medicine doctors tend to focus more on prevention through lifestyle change rather than waiting to just diagnose a disease like a traditional doctor does. So in this particular case, the patient might go in saying that they can't seem to lose weight. The functional medicine doctor is measuring both their blood glucose level and their insulin level. So the doctor's response would be, okay, I see why you can't lose weight. Your sugar is okay, but your insulin is starting to creep up. And we know that insulin is a storage hormone. A year later, the patient comes in and indicates that I've tried eating fewer calories, and the doctor intervenes by saying it's not about calories. It's choosing certain foods that you've been eating that are making your insulin rise. Another year goes by, insulin has crept up even higher, blood sugar is going up, and now the doctor intervenes by saying you're pre-diabetic because both your sugar and your insulin are elevated. And at this point, the doctor would recommend the CDC's diabetes prevention program. Unfortunately, many people respond by saying, I don't have time for that, I'm too busy. Well, what happens? A couple years later, you're now a serious diabetic as your insulin has gone way down and your sugar is way up. And at that point you say, well, maybe I should have joined that program that you recommended a couple of years ago. Unfortunately, the doctor's response at that point is, yes, but it's too late now. You need to be on several medications. Don't be that person that puts it off, because people like you are succeeding. One of our clients, Sam, has lost more than 45 pounds and his triglycerides have been lowered by more than 45 points. And you can see how much of a reduction he's had in his belly fat. So let's go on to secret number 3, which is that there are 2 proven ways of eating to control insulin that involve great tasting foods. So you've probably asked yourself the question, what is the healthiest way to eat so that I can lose weight? And you may be even facing the fact that there are so many opinions out there, which ones are actually supported by studies? Unfortunately, there's a lot of confusion. Now, most experts will agree on 4 things. Number 1, that you should eat 4 to 6 cups of non-starchy vegetables every day. Number 2, that eating 1 cup of berries every day for the antioxidants is beneficial. Number 3, that nuts are full of great fats and promote wellness. And number 4, that avocados are full of great fats, so that you should eat a lot of those. But beyond those 4 things, even the experts don't agree. Some promote high protein, others low protein. Some low fat, some high fat ketogenic diet. Some vegan, some low carb. So what's a person to do? Well, the good news is that worldwide, there is starting to be some consensus on what is actually beneficial. Earlier in 2018, the American Diabetes Association, the European Foundation for the Study of Diabetes, and the Australian Diabetes Society all came together on a consensus report related to how to best manage type 2 diabetes. And in that report, they focus on 2 ways of eating that had the most success at controlling blood sugar. One was a low carbohydrate diet, meaning less than 25% of your calories coming from carbs. The other extreme being a plant-based diet. So what do these 2 ways of eating look like? Well, with a vegan plant-based diet, you're going to start by looking at protein, and you're going to be trying to achieve half of your muscle mass in grams of protein per day into your diet. So, for example, if you have 120 pounds of muscle, you'd be looking to eat about 60 grams of protein per day. If you have 150 pounds of muscle, then your target would be 75 grams of protein per day, coming primarily from things like beans and legumes and non-genetically modified soy products. When it comes to carbohydrates, you're going to be going with a high carb diet, greater than 50% of your calories coming from whole food carbohydrates. You still want to avoid processed carbohydrates and stick to the whole food carbs. And when it comes to fat, you're going to be eating about 15% or less of your calories coming from fat. And these fats, again, are going to be plant-based fats, things like avocado and coconut and nuts. On the other side, you're looking at a low-carb diet. Again, you're going to have the same protein goal, about half of your muscle mass in grams of protein per day. But on the carbohydrate side, your target will be somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 to 24% of your calories coming from whole food carbohydrates. And then on the other end, you're going to be looking for greater than 50% of your calories coming from good fats. The CDC program, as delivered by virtually all other organizations, only teaches the low-fat, calorie counting approach to weight loss and blood sugar control. We already discussed how that has limited benefit when it comes to weight loss because of the difficulty in controlling your calories as precisely as you need to, and how calories from different types of food cause very different responses in our bodies. We do teach that approach for those who are set on following that way of eating, but we also teach the more effective low-fat, vegan, plant-based diet and the low-carb or ketogenic approach so that people can follow whichever one is right for them. Should you decide to go with a low-fat vegan approach, then we can provide you help with how to know how many beans and non-GMO soy products to eat to get sufficient protein into your diet. Remember from earlier, we talked about how you want to get half of your muscle mass in grams of protein per day. Vegans have to really pay attention to make sure they're getting enough protein, and we can give you guidance on that. Secondly, we'll teach you how not to eat too many nuts as snacks during the day, because just 1 cup of nuts will provide you with 1,000 calories. Nuts are very calorie dense, so we'll give you guidance on how many to eat without going overboard. And finally, even the most ardent supporters of a vegan diet and the leaders, the medical leaders in the vegan community, acknowledge that there is a risk of deficiencies in vitamin B12 and the essential fatty acids that come from fish, fatty fish, and fish oil with a vegan diet. So we'll give you guidance on how to get tested annually to know where you're at on those 2 important nutrients, and how to supplement to bring your levels up to the amount that you should have to not just avoid nutrient deficiency health issues, but actually how to optimize your health and reduce your risk of chronic diseases. Now, with a low-carb ketogenic diet, it's often easier to stick to this for the long term as opposed to a low-fat vegan approach, but only if you get some help in doing it right. We teach our clients these 5 important tricks to a successful low-carb diet. Number 1, knowing how low carb to go. We help our clients determine if they would be best served by a low carbohydrate meal plan with carbs consisting of around 20% of calories, or if they would be better on a nutritional ketosis plan, eating 10 to 15% of calories from carbs. Number 2, know the meat portion size for your body. While vegans can have difficulty getting enough protein, the opposite is often the case on a low-carb diet. It can slow weight loss if you eat too much meat. Knowing the right amount for your body and your muscle mass is important. Number 3, we'll provide you with lots of recipes in order to get a lot of variety, and this is really the fun part of this program. 4, we'll provide restaurant ordering tips. Eating out is easy if you know what to ask for. We even provide our clients with live videos of us ordering in restaurants to show you how easy it's done. And number 5, we'll discuss cheese and nuts and how they can run you into excessive calories. While calories are not the main thing, they do play a role. For best results, you want to eat enough calories so as not to slow your metabolism. But it's also important not to exceed your daily calorie need by hundreds of calories, eating too many foods that are very calorie dense. David and Lourdes, another couple that we've worked with over the years, they've lost over 50 pounds combined. Look at the difference between their pictures on the left and their pictures on the right. And the great thing is they've got young kids who are under the age of 10 who love eating the way that they eat, the way that David and Lourdes implemented for their own health. They've passed on to their children, and their children are growing up with that being the natural way for them to eat instead of eating the standard American diet. Another of our clients, Doug, after 7 months on the program, has lost 35 pounds. His blood work has gone from, oh my gosh, I'm dying, to my doctor says I'm no longer at risk of chronic health issues. And look at his body. Look at the transformation that's occurred in his body. His face is thinner. His waist is drastically thinner. Secret number 4 is to optimize your success by working with a great coach. Now, we know that behind every great success is a coach, whether we're talking about athletics or the arts like music or theater, but even also when we get into weight loss programs. The Biggest Loser that everybody likes to follow on TV, they all have coaches, and the ones that have the best success in any of these endeavors always have a great coach behind them. And that's because a great coach is going to guide you step by step, and also walk the talk. They actually do the things on a daily basis. Great coaches provide accountability and support. They provide you with the resources and the tools and that encouragement to keep you going. And they instill that belief that you need, that you can actually accomplish the change that you're looking to accomplish. The challenge is it's not as easy as you might think to know which foods fall where. For example, think about Frosted Flakes or Corn Flakes. If you were to tell somebody which one you think is the better food for you to eat, the healthier option of the two for you to eat, most people would pick Corn Flakes because Frosted Flakes have that a little bit of added sugar on the surface. But the reality is Corn Flakes cause a greater insulin response than Frosted Flakes do. How about apple juice versus apple pie? Many parents give their children apple juice to drink with meals because they think they're giving them fruit juice, which is going to be beneficial. But not many would give them apple pie on a regular basis thinking it's healthy. The reality is both of them have a moderate impact on your insulin index. There's really no difference in terms of the amount of insulin your body makes in response. How about eggs or navy beans? This is another one that people would probably pick one versus the other, but the reality is they're equal in their insulin response. Neither of them have a significant response, but they are both equal in their response. So the point being that it's not intuitive as to what foods you should be eating versus which you shouldn't. That's where coaching comes in. So let's recap. I've shown you the 4 secrets for losing belly fat and weight. And you've learned more about insulin and its impact on weight and belly fat than most medical practitioners know. And you've learned that using a coach will give you greater and faster success than going it alone. So now you have a choice. You're facing this fork in the road, and you could choose to go it alone, continue down the paths that you've tried in the past, or you could choose to work with the experts that have taken people from where you are to where you want to be. We have set aside time in the next week to speak with you personally about your own health challenges and how you can apply the principles that we've just taught you to help you kickstart your new healthy lifestyle. How does this happen? You go to www.trinityhealthcoaching.com/book and schedule your free 45-minute coaching consultation with our senior health coach, Vicki. You heard me right. The 45-minute call is absolutely free. There's no commitment to do anything next. It's just an opportunity for you to speak with Vicki about your personal health challenge. We'll give you some tips of some things that we think you can do. So this is for you if you want to lose weight and belly fat while eating great tasting food, if you're ready to commit to permanent lifestyle change, and if you recognize that having a great coach is critical to your success. Just like Robin lost a whopping 14% of her body weight, she exclaimed that her adrenal fatigue is gone and that her skin no longer looks like an alligator. Look at the difference in how she appears. It's not just a matter of the weight that she lost, but it's her entire appearance. Her metabolic age dropped by 30 years and her face shows it. Look how much thinner her face looks, her whole body looks. She's had incredible results in less than 12 months. Jump on to trinityhealthcoaching.com/book and book your free 45-minute health coaching consultation with Vicki today.
It takes less than 1 minute to find out if you may have prediabetes. You can do it here. But you probably won't. You're busy. Kids, work, show coming back in 48 seconds. So let's do this now. Hold up 1 finger if you're a man, women 0. 3 more fingers if you're over 60, 2 over 50, 1 over 40. If you're not sure, keep in mind you're sitting on a couch right now, so 1 more finger if you're not very active. 1 finger if yes, 0 if no. 1 yes, 0 no. Next, find the body type that looks most like you and hold up that many fingers while I look around awkwardly. And that's it. If you're holding up 5 fingers or more, you probably have prediabetes. Sorry to be so blunt, but hey, you're busy.
My passion is my family. I've learned that I have to take care of me so that I can be there for them and enjoy them. I was at a point where I was losing the motivation, and then this class was offered. And I thought, this is something that I need. What could it hurt? Let me look into it. And I'm glad I did, because it's serving as the additional motivation piece that I need to lead a healthier lifestyle to prevent type 2 diabetes. We check in with each other, giving suggestions to each other and finding different things that may work for us as individuals, that work for one, that might work for another. Everyone is struggling with their weight issues, health issues in many different ways, but yet we're all similar. We provide a lot of positive support to one another. We are being taught in the class ways to manage stress or suggestions. We are taught to take a minute and think about what you're feeling and make healthier choices. The healthier way of eating just becomes a lifestyle, and it's something that you get used to. And this is just one of many more new things that are going to start occurring with this lifestyle change. I know I'm at risk for type 2 diabetes because it runs in my family, and I've had gestational diabetes. My daughter and I were walking, and I started to jog, she was laughing, and when I got to her, I said, "Frances, what's so funny?" And she says, "Mom, I've never seen you run." And the next thing you know, that laughing moment broke out into tears because my kids have never seen me run, and I can now, and I love it. I'm doing this for me, but I'm not doing it alone. I'm doing it with a group of people who are struggling to reach the same goals. I prevent T2 for my family so that we can all lead a happy, healthy life together.
The program that we recommend includes 22 one-hour group sessions spread throughout the year. And during those 22-hour sessions, we cover how to change your cooking and shopping and eating habits, just increasing your activity by a little bit each day and learning from each other how to fit some different activities into your busy lives, how to reduce stress and improve sleep, how to handle eating out, to make better choices while you're eating out. Roles that some of those other hormones that we didn't have time to get into today play in your health. The benefit of this program is on average, you're going to lose 5 to 10% of your body weight over the course of the year. You're going to improve your sleep and have more energy each day. You're going to learn how to make delicious new recipes that not only you will love, but your family will love too, so that you can all eat the same food. Byproduct is you're going to have lower blood sugar, you're going to slow down the aging process, and you're going to reduce your risk of disease. So with this group coaching program, there's really no need for you to go it alone. We'll give you the roadmap that will help you succeed. You'll learn from others in the group. It's a wonderful situation where you're with other people that are learning the same things that you are to solve the same problem that you have. It creates a very supportive environment because everybody's going through the same transformation at the same time. We're going to get encouragement from one another, and we'll be there when the going gets tough. That's the role that the coach plays. We are there to help pick you up and shake you when you need shaking and cheer you when you've had success. Regardless of the circumstances, we'll be there to support you. If not this, what? If it's not this program, what are you going to do? So please do yourself a favor, book your free 45-minute coaching call now at trinityhealthcoaching.com/book. Thank you so much for watching. The educational information provided in this seminar is intended to be general in nature and is not a substitute for professional medical advice. The options offered are not a replacement for professional medical judgment. Individual medical advice should be obtained.